Hey everyone, Erin here. So today I have put together a free gift for you, and I hope that you take advantage of it. I hope that you enjoy it. There's so many people that are dealing with burnout and balancing their nervous system. So I am combining coaching tools, yoga therapy tools, and breath work to help you rebalance your nervous system. I have been burnt out many times. I've had adrenal fatigue 2 full times, and then I was going for a third time because I have to learn my lessons multiple times, right? And then on when I was starting to go downhill and I started to notice the darkness underneath my eyes, I started to notice that I couldn't get through the day without 3 cups of coffee, etc., like napping all the time. Then I thought, okay, enough is enough. And I started listening to my body, giving myself what I needed, replenishing minerals, taking breaks, things like that. So I don't want you to have to go through this. And I thought, this is something that everybody's dealing with nowadays. And I actually had some specific requests for it. So I thought I'd put together a free gift for the members of Thrive. If you are reading this newsletter or perhaps you've listened to my podcast, then you're taking advantage of this free gift. So like I said, I have multiple ways to approach this sort of burnout conundrum. The first thing I wanted to do is get into the science of it because it has a lot to do with your nervous system. It has a lot to do with the minerals that you're taking into your body or lack thereof. Our soil does not have the same amount of nutrients that it used to have in it. These are probably things that you know, but because of improper fallowing practices, our soil has over 90% less minerals than it used to back in the early 1900s. So that means that the food that our parents and grandparents grew up on is not the same quality of food that we're growing up on. So it's no wonder that there's less minerals to pull from. And if you didn't know, we are electrical systems. So when we don't have these minerals, what happens is we feel wired but tired, overwhelmed by the smallest tasks. I know for me, if I'm starting to kind of teeter towards that burnt out stage, I start to get like cynical. I start to snap at people, and I start to feel like, wait, why did I come into the kitchen? Or like, what did I do with my keys? And I just start losing things. I look at my car. My car is a complete mess, and then I look around my house. I'm like, wow, I should really organize, but I don't have the energy to. Right. So, and also when you're in burnout, all the things that you want to do, like meditate and do yoga and all the things that you know that you should do, you don't want to do because you feel like you don't have the energy. So if this feels familiar, I just want you to know that it's not necessarily your fault because of, again, lack of minerals in the soil. We have so much stimulation around us as far as our nervous system. We're available 24/7 because of our devices, and then our devices like are draining us of minerals, are draining us of energy, and kind of we're leaking out energy all the time. So in this masterclass, I want to give practical tips, but also some science behind why are we in this state? Why is everybody tired? Why is there a line wrapping around Starbucks around the corner, during noon? Not just in the morning, but like noon, like it just seems like all the time that place is bobbing. So first, burnout. What it is from a nervous system perspective is when we go into sympathetic dominance, that is where we're in fight or flight. Okay. When we're in fight or flight, our body is shutting down our digestive system. The digestive function drops about 80%. So you only have 20% of your digestive function that's actually working when you're in fight or flight. So this is that sympathetic dominance. And what it used to be used for is if we're in danger, right? We have to sprint away and you'd have to take all your blood to your extremities, right? So it's like amygdala is firing off. We're getting away from danger. It is a survival state of being. That is not necessarily the state of being that we want to be in. Though being all the way in parasympathetic in a deep way for all the time is just like you'd be walking around like a cooked egg. like your legs would be Twizzlers. So we want to strike that balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So this is where my inner nerd is going to come out. I love anatomy, I love physiology, and I love functioning of the body because I have been sick. I have been sick and I have been healthy at 41. I'm more flexible, I'm more fit, I'm more sharp, and I have a better head on my shoulders than I have at any other period of my life. So just so you know, the burnout quality is governed by the autonomic nervous system. So think of your nervous system as like this brilliant ancient thermostat, and it has two main settings. The first is the sympathetic nervous system state, which is essentially your gas pedal. This is, again, our fight or flight, and it's brilliant for short-term stress to get you out of danger. It's also great if you're exercising because we do need to have sympathetic and parasympathetic throughout our day. Even our nostrils switch right side sympathetic and then left side parasympathetic. When the gas is stuck, though, to the floor, our body is flooded with cortisol. It is flooded with adrenaline. And your body is thinking that like, oh, crap, I'm running away from something all day. It's exhausting, and that's why you feel foggy when you wake up and you don't feel rested and you have trouble sleeping. Parasympathetic is the rest and digest setting. It's sort of like the brake pedal. When you are in this state, this is where we connect to our more intuitive, more subtle energies. And this is the space that we really need to be in to heal burnout. And because if we've been in sympathetic dominance, we do need to be more in parasympathetic to heal that. And then what happens is you sort of even out. So because the pendulum swings one direction, you need to bring it back the other direction for a sustained period of time, taking things like yin yoga, restorative yoga, sound baths, all the wonderful things that we have at Thrive Yoga and Fitness, beach yoga, being in nature, things like that. Learning how to consciously balance that gas and brake, first we have to be in that parasympathetic. And when we do that, it's healing for the body. It allows us to digest our food, to absorb minerals, and replenish the stores where we have kind of depleted ourselves. So the key is to be able to slow down and invite in practices that are sustainable for the state that we're in. Probably you're tired, probably you're burnt out, probably you can't think too much, but finding a way to 2 to 3 times a week invite in some yoga practice, yoga nidra, something like that. Even coming to the studio and doing child's pose, shavasana, being in that sort of calm energy helps us to be able to restore a balance to the nervous system. Even when we're doing something like pranayama, what you're doing is pulling in prana. In fact, another translation for pranayama, it's breath lengthening, it's life lengthening, but it's also life energy capturing, especially if you use bandhas with it. Bandhas are internal locks, so like lifting up the pelvic floor. As for women, we would call it Kegels. For men, it's stopping the flow of urine midstream. It's that kind of like engaging, lifting action, and this actually keeps energy inside of our body. If we want to do a breath practice that's going to help us, we want to keep that in and lifted and breathe in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your nose moisturizes your breath. It directs the breath in the lower lobes of the lungs. And beyond that, it helps us to lengthen the breath, lengthen the life force so that it's spread thinner. When something is spread thinner, guess what happens? Better absorption. When you have better absorption, you are making the most of each breath. And that's why yogic breathing in and out through the nose sounds like this. We're incorporating in a little bit of texture, a little bit of sound, and this helps to create a vibration in the breath. Because we are energetic beings, because we have an energy through us, because our nervous system is energy, if we have this sort of massaging, texturized action to our breath, it changes the breath into what I like to say is medicine, because it's warming it up, because it's ionizing it because of the vibration. So, quick fact, if you didn't know, if you want to absorb your water better, heat it up, boil it then what happens is it changes the frequency of the water. It gives it a little bit of a vibration. It gives it some heat, and it kind of like thins out everything so that when you drink it, it absorbs better. So essentially you're doing that with your breath. If you can do that with your breath, it's going to help capture the prana. It's going to help to prepare it so that when you're taking it in, it's very easy to digest. It's very easy to absorb. And I know that sounds weird to think, my body's digesting water. Well, yeah, there's nutrients in there, right? There's oxygen things. Your body needs to kind of like pick it apart and like, okay, H2O and O2 and all these different things, and pull it into the body to hydrate the cells. On that note, as far as curing burnout, if you are not drinking mineral-infused water, meaning living water, spring water, you are going to have a hard time rebuilding your minerals. And again, you need those minerals because think of them as like they're conductors of electricity. And if your body does not have those conductors of electricity, it's kind of like trying to start your car like zun, 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 zun. And it doesn't have like that spark to ignite, right? Ignite, Agni. Agni is the Sanskrit word for fire. Create that fire, that catalyst within you. And then you're just sort of like turning the key. And that's how I felt when I was adrenal fatigue. I felt like I was like, all right, come on, 4th cup of coffee. And my body's like, yeah, nah, we ain't doing that. And I would just like lay there and just kind of feeling defeated mentally and emotionally and so on and so forth. So drinking living water is key. So spring water, I know that reverse osmosis is like all the rage and maybe you even add minerals back in. I get it, but it's not like living. It doesn't have that ionization. So if you can get ionized water, then that is going to really help it absorb into your system. That is going to give you that spark a lot quicker. Eating a lot of cooked vegetables. I talk about this in my first book, Thriving After Addiction, where I use 4 different things to help people recover from post-addiction burnout. And it's coaching, like nutrition, yoga, and certain drinks and things that I put together in this program, which, by the way, that book is still available on Amazon. It's called Thriving After Addiction. It's a whole guide and it has a whole online series. Eating cooked vegetables, when you cook them, it concentrates the minerals. So even though the enzymes are destroyed in the cooking process, because they are cooked, again, it concentrates the minerals. And when you are facing burnout, you need those minerals more than anything. As far as the enzymes, you can take digestive enzymes. The thing about raw is that it's harder to pull the minerals from it, even though it has the enzymes in it. I know that that sounds a little bit crazy, but like the fiber and everything that your body has to work for so hard. And again, it doesn't have a lot of energy. It doesn't have a lot of agni at that time, or ojas. Ojas is kind of like life force. So because you don't have that necessarily, you want to make it easy to digest. So as far as like losing the enzymes, because that's the biggest argument I get when I talk about this, it's sort of like, where are we going to do the most good and the less harm? And it's cooking the vegetables, having lots of fluids. And the next thing is rest. You have to rest, and conscious rest. So things like yoga, things like restorative practices, things like taking a break, breathing, and checking with your mind, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Burnout is not just physical. What happens is we don't have enough energy to even connect to ourselves. And that's the biggest thing that I learned when I was adrenal fatigued. And this was years ago, probably just about before I opened Thrive. And I was bedridden. I had gone through so much stress. I was working at a school that went bankrupt and stopped paying us. And it was just like a whole thing. And I had like newspaper and radio station and television station people at my house interviewing me. It was a whole thing. If you ever want to know that story, that's for a different time. But I was so exhausted. And what I found was that because I couldn't connect with my body, is that I was spinning in my head. And that was further burning me out. So having practices, again, I know you're tired, I know it's hard, but showing up 5-10 minutes and then building from that, because you have to clear out the clutter in your head. You have to clear out the clutter in your body to then create more space for this new energy that you want to capture and cherish. So practices like thought dumping, charming way to say it, right? Taking your thoughts and just stream of consciousness, get it down. I have a formula called the CLEAR formula that I have available on podcasts, on books. I'll attach that information in a link to this free gift, where you write down the circumstances, the facts of the matter, and then you look at your thoughts. Like, what thoughts are triggered by this circumstance? Like, there was an accident that happened on my way back home, and my thought may have been, oh my God, I hope everybody's okay. The emotion that I would have from that, I'm following CLE, the emotion that I would have for that is worry or concern. The action would be my body clenches and tightens. The result from that is that I am like stuck in this sort of worry loop, thinking about all the people I love. My mom died in a car accident, like all these things sort of bring it up. Whereas if we become aware of our thoughts, we're able to kind of slow down. Our mind like runs away with things and adds on like little subclauses to all the things that we're thinking. And then before you know it, we're really worked up. And 20 minutes ago, we saw that accident, but in our head, we're replaying it over and over again because it's triggered us. So being able to become aware of what's happening in the mind by those breath practices, in and out through the nose, ujjayi breath, creating texture with the breath, taking restorative yoga classes, being able to be in nature, and then certainly eating cooked vegetables that are going to recharge our minerals, drinking living water, and then finally doing some thought work. I have plenty of meditations on Insight Timer that you can listen to help calm your nervous system, clear out stuck emotions, and even help you to process them and drop back into yourself. I'll also include those links in with this free gift. So many, many, many different ways. But you have to approach health from different angles. It is not just physical, right? You're not just this body of electric bacon, and you're not just like this squishy sponge up in your noggin, right? You are a beautiful collection of divine wisdom that has an electrical panel. And so we need to take care of our body, we need to take care of our mind, our soul, our psyche. All of these things work beautifully together. And I'll tell you this, if you're a very logical thinking person and you're thinking, this is a lot of work, I don't know if I can do this. I promise you that if you give it a chance, try it for 30 days. Try it for 30 days or even like 3 weeks. 21 days is fine. If you try it for that amount of time, you are going to find that you connect with yourself much better. You process things much better. Your digestion improves. Your thought processes improve. Your sleep improves. Like your quality of life improves and your mental processes improve. When that happens, you'll be so much happier. And you'll think, wow, at first it was kind of rough, but like, wow, I feel more in tune with myself. I feel happier. I'm able to connect with people more. It's easier for me to emote, and I don't stuff down things. I communicate. There's so much like layers to this healing. I've been doing this work for 15 years as far as like deep interpersonal work. And I'll tell you that it is some of the best investment in myself that I've ever made. And here you have this free little guide to get you started. So if you have like this material, and this is just kind of like, you know, when you go to a restaurant, they have like the sample size, like appetizer platter. Like this is just little tiny samples of what I do. So I do personal coaching. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me, Erin at erincoach.com. I have retreats to Japan, to Thailand, to India, all over around the East and Asia, because that is where they have the most mind-body connection that I have found in the world. So I'm always going over there. I have a life coach certification. If you have really dug this video and you're like, wow, I really like the knowledge that Erin has. I really love the way that she teaches. I want to learn more. I have a life coaching certification that's coming up in January 17th to the 23rd. You can check it out, Erin at erincoach.com, or you can go to thriveyogafit.com and learn how to process your emotions, learn how to clear out your mind, learn how to be your best possible self, whether or not you want to be a coach. In fact, 50% of the people that come to my courses, they just do it for their own betterment. The second thing I have that's kind of a big deal is my yoga teacher training, which starts in February of next year. You will not find a more comprehensive program. I incorporate elements of yoga therapy, body work, postural alignment. I incorporate Ayurveda, coaching, like all kinds of things so that you learn how to take care of yourself, how to heal yourself while being in service to others and being a very strong and dedicated teacher. So I hope that you enjoyed this free gift. I hope that you loved it, and I am very much looking forward to your feedback. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy and be healthy, be well, and namaste.